Hello everyone. This is Namordan, long time hiatus, and I am back to making content for Monotype Pokemon Showdown. Just a quick update. I'll be doing more challenges and challenge runs instead of more informative content like I'm usually used to. And I may or may not get back into covering tournaments as well. Depends on how my schedule looks coming up. But yeah, after recovering from my illness and a couple of other IRL things, I am now back, and I'm more motivated than ever to play this game. So, with that being said, let's talk about this challenge. So, this challenge that I'm doing, as you can see in the thumbnail, is a hard mode monotype challenge. Now, what does this challenge entail? Well, this challenge requires me to do the following. So the first thing I need to do is, with all 18 types, I have to complete one of three things while above 1400 ELO and win the game against someone that is plus or minus 50 ELO of me. So, essentially, if I'm 1425 and I go against someone who is 1375, the win still counts. Because I don't want to essentially play against like Giga low ranked players and be like, see, the strat works. That's not what I'm trying to go for here. Like semi-competent players is what I'm going to try and play against. But essentially, once I meet those conditions, I have to do one of three things with my team. I have to have a D rank or lower mon on my team, and a D rank mon has to do something. It can't just be a sack. I have to either not have a single S rank mon on my team, exception with Heatran on Steel, because I actually don't think that's going to be possible if I don't have Heatran on Steel. And the third option is to make a full stall team of a type that isn't usually like applicable to do it. So, for example, doing something like Stall Fire would be perfectly fine, but doing something like Stall Water, a little less so. Unless I'm using a D rank mon, then it's perfectly fine. But yeah, those are the hard mode challenges, and you may recognize the D rank challenge. Obviously, I used to do a D rank Warriors series on this channel, which I may try and do again sometime in the future. But for right now, this challenge right here is going to be my main content for the time being. Or if any other news around Monotype happens as well, I'll react to it, give you my thoughts. But yeah. So let's get into the team I used for this challenge today, which is a normal team. It's actually a normal stall team. Now you may think stall with Ditto is a bit weird on paper, but it's really not, actually. Because the thing is, Ditto essentially punishes the one thing people do against stall, which is usually like take advantage of these passive Pokemon and set up on them. Ditto completely punishes most setup sweepers in the game. And I say most because there's some exceptions, being iron defense sweepers that aren't like weak to fighting. But aside from those and a couple of other exceptions that I can't think of right now, Ditto usually does check a majority of the setup sweepers in this game once it comes in. So, and even if it gets its item knocked off, it's still useful because it's infinite PP, which is very good when you're trying to go for long games, which is what this style is known for. But enough about Ditto, let's talk about what we have here. So, first Pokemon is Chansey. Nothing too unusual here, just a very standard Chansey set. Physical defense oriented, soft boiled, seismic toss, Thunder Wave. Thunder Wave being more useful now because the paralysis chance allows us to basically get more hits in and also allow our Arboliva to set up. Porygon 2, again, nothing special here. Trace is taken specifically though, because we want to copy specific abilities such as Heatran Flash Fire, defensive, and a quick note about Trace actually. This ability doesn't copy Photosynthesis or Quark Drive. I'm not sure why it doesn't do that, but this ability does not allow you to copy that. So that should be of note. But yeah, besides that, other abilities we would want to copy would be Poison Point, Effect Spore, even Malignant Chain, even if we want to. Or not Malignant Chain, Poison Puppeteer, but yeah. Just very good defensive abilities we want to copy and take advantage of. Pressure, toxic Poison Heal, those abilities are what we ideally want to copy with this Porygon 2 set. So the unviable mon that I'm using on this team, as per the viability rankings, as you can see, Cyclizar is nowhere to be found on this viability ranking. So that means I'm perfectly allowed to use it, and it also satisfies the team requirement. I also have Arboliva, who is a D rank mon, but we'll explain their set a bit later. But yes, I've managed to find a use for this seemingly useless mon, and it's as a specially defensive pivot, because this mon still has Regenerator and okay moves. Normal actually doesn't have, well, it does have a good Rapid Spinner in Terapagos, but Terapagos is also not really, Terapagos doesn't like switching in very often due to the fact that it kind of wants to save its HP for its Terra Shell, and then after Terra Shell gets used, it's kind of defensively not that great, and its longevity is like very limited, so it also is just not a very good pivot, which is the main thing that this set aims to fix. Now, you do have the additional Dragon typing, which gives you some more defensive switch-ins, like into Grass, into Electric, and stuff like that, but it also gives you weaknesses to Fairy, which Terapagos doesn't have, and you also don't have that amazing ability. But aside from that, Cyclizar still fulfills in the niche of a specially defensive Rapid Spinner for the team, and as it has Regenerator, it can come in again and again and Rapid Spin again and again. So if you, let's say, Rapid Spin in front of a Rocky Helmet, Great Tusk, or Skarmory, you can Rapid Spin, U-turn out into something else and still have more HP, and you won't get worn down as easily as you would if you were using a Terapagos. So yeah, that's the use I found for it on this team. Unfortunately, it didn't get much use in the replay, but the next mon that does get use is this, Arboliva. So when I first saw this mon, I didn't think it would be, I was very confused as to how it would function, like at all as a Pokemon, but once I saw that it had Harvest, I immediately knew what I had to do. So we used a Harvest set that fishes Citrus Berry, very standard set for Harvest fishing. Trevenant is known to do this as well. I did think about making a Sun variant of this team, but then I realized it's not really that worth it, because not only do we not have that many Photosynthesis abusers, but we also just, it's just bad for Arboliva to be in Sun, because you're powering up Fire type attacks, and there's like a bunch of Fire type coverage in Monotype, so really not a good idea to do that. And also you'd be giving other people their Photosynthesis as well, so, and just for like a minor defensive buff for Arboliva of all mons, I don't really think that's worth it. So I'd rather just take the 50% chance and call it a day. But yeah, we use this Harvest set, physically defensive, to round out our defenses, because we already have a specially defensive switch in here, and we have Blissey, the special tank to end all special tanks. So I figured, why not just add another physically defensive Pokemon here. His special defense is higher, but I prefer the physical defense because it just makes it a lot easier to switch into stuff. And your typing just makes it easier to switch into physical attacks like Earthquakes, rock slides, fighting moves as well, weaker fighting moves. Even though Porygon 2 is better for switching into fighting moves, and also the other mon here, Zoroark Hisui, is also our fighting type switch-in. Borderline, this team would not be possible without this, because otherwise you would just be able to click close combat on literally everything here, and you would not be able to do anything as the normal player. But with Zoroark, you are actually able to do something. You can Will-O-Wisp the close combatter, which is likely a physical attacker. And after that you can do Substitute, Hex, you can also have Knockoff for utility, and the Illusion ability is great at playing mind games, especially on a type like Normal. So what I usually like to do is I like to lead with Zoroark and then have Blissey in the back, so that way it feigns being Blissey, and people will think, oh, he's just trying to set stealth rocks early. Well, I can try and punish that, only for them to get subbed on and Zoroark starts doing its thing. Leftovers are used to heal off the chip from Substitute. I could use a different item, but I like using this one more because the healing is nice, and the game is supposed to go on for very long. So if this were a more offense-oriented team, I'd use a different item. But because this is a very defense-oriented team, I prefer the Leftovers. Also, this set acts as mainly a utility set. It's not really meant to do a ton of damage, as you can see from the EVs. It's mainly meant to stay in, just harass physical attackers, and torture them with Hex, and then leave as soon as it's not useful anymore. And it can leave into either Blissey or P2, two very good walls. It could even lead into Cyclizar, who can just U-turn out with its great speed. And you could also do, well, you can't really go into Arboliva, but Arboliva will still do great work. Also, forgot to mention on Arboliva, it has Strength Sap, which is also a very good move. We have Leech Seed and Strength Sap, which basically makes it easy to whittle down mons. So the main weakness this team has is definitely setup sweepers, but we have Ditto to take care of that, so we should be good to go. But yeah, this team on paper is pretty decent. In practice, it's a bit hard to pull off though, because the prevalence of knockoff makes EV like Porygon 2 a bit of a liability. You don't really have a lot of mons that can eat the knockoff too, because all of them are really reliant on their items. Except for maybe Blissey. Although Blissey would still rather not lose its 7-duty boots. Zoroark is also super weak to knockoff, and losing the Leftovers is kind of detrimental. And Arboliva as well is also very detrimental to get its berry knocked off, because if it does, it can't recover it from Harvest. It has to use the berry. It can't just randomly make it appear out of thin air. But yeah, that is the team, so we will now go into the replay that I got. Alright, we're back, and this is the replay I got versus this player. He is in the ELO range of me. He was 1375 at the time of this game. I was 1413. That is within the 50 ELO range that I was speaking about. So let's start this game and show what I did. So you may think that this is Blissey. It's not. It's actually Zoroark, but he has no idea. So he starts clicking Sword Stance, thinking it's free, but it's not. And at this point, before I clicked Hex, I immediately assumed, like, oh, he probably knows at this point that it's not actually Blissey, it's probably Zoroark. So I decided to, I'm just gonna Hex him now instead of whipping out my Substitute, because Substitute would have been a better play here, as he would have had a lot less power, or a lot less offensive pressure against me. But I ended up hexing because I thought he would attack me, and I wanted to make sure I at least killed the thing or got it very down healthy. But it turns out he was still fooled by it. He had no idea. So yeah, I get rid of his Sneasler. That's huge for my team, because that's one of the main issues that would torture us. Unfortunately, I decided to stay in here because I didn't think... Honestly, no, I think the issue here was that I didn't really have a good switch in. I didn't want to sack my Cyclizar's Assault Vest because I was planning on using it for Iron Valiant. But in retrospect, probably should have just sent in Cyclizar, since it didn't really end up doing all that much this game anyway. But yeah, I end up losing Zoroark. This is not very good. Very bad for me. But it gives me a perfect time to go to Arboliva. Arboliva survives that Drain Punch from Scrafty. Scrafty tries to use Drain Punch again, but unlucky for them, I have Strength Step, so I heal all the way to full with the Citrus Berry heal as well. And I'm healing from Leech Seed, and I get my berry back. It's great. It's great. On the switch, I predict I get the Leech Seed. I could Strength Step here, but... well, I do try to go for it, and I was not expecting that close combat to kill me. I think that thing might have been banned, to be honest with you. But yes, we use close combat on the Urshifu to kill him. We swap into Blissey. This thing turns out to have close combat. Was not expecting that either. Usually used to less offensive sets on Great Tusk, but we still do go in. And as you can see right there, I'm not sure if you noticed it, but Porygon 2's Trace did not trace his Photosynthesis. He instead traced Scrafty's Intimidate. So yeah, he knocks off my Eviolite, which obviously makes P2 a lot less bulky. I'm still waiting for this thing to use Rest, but I didn't realize at the time. I was still thinking that it had, Shed Skin, not realizing that it had revealed the Intimidate already. So I just tried to fish for a freeze, it did not work out. But I send out my own Ditto, and we end up killing him with his own Drain Punch. And then this is the part of the game where I thought it was doomed. So I obviously send in Cyclizar. Cyclizar dies instantly, and Ditto proceeds to sweep the rest of the team. Because Iron Valiant does quite a bit of damage. Even with the fake out and surviving the first Moonblast, he still ends up not being able to kill Ditto in time. And because this Great Tusk set is more offensive oriented, it does not end up killing my Ditto. So there you go. And that's how the stall normal team won a game. Now, Ditto did do a lot of the heavy lifting in this game, I will admit, but Arboliva did do a surprising amount. Arboliva did a lot with that game. For a mod that's only D rank, it was able to stop Scrafty from doing its thing, and it actually forced it out, which not a lot of Pokemon on this team, or on Arbol in general, can actually do that really, really well. So Arboliva actually might have been a difference maker in this game, to be quite honest with you. Now, I could have Dazzling Gleam on my Zoroark or on another Mon, but I think Arboliva kind of made this game very winnable for me, and allowed Ditto to get a position to actually sweep the entire enemy team. But yeah, that is it for the normal challenge, and now I will spin this wheel that will announce the next type I will do. It will be water. So tune in with me next time when we do water as our Monotype hard mode challenge, but consider normal complete. See you next time.